So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kellyanne Conway.
Thank you so very much for that warm introduction, and I thank you all for being here today and for your enduring commitment to keeping alive the memories of those we have lost to violence, and so that your pain will never be in vain, for channeling that grief into very personal resolve. This is a very personal commitment from me because I met many of you on the campaign trail, and candidate Trump then promised you that you would never be forgotten, that you are not nameless and faceless. I've seen you in media reports be put in quotes, so-called angel mom, so-called angel dad, so-called. You're not so-called. You're real, you're here, you're present. I'd like you to stand so we can see who you are, if you feel comfortable doing that. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And for all those who have suffered the same and choose not to be here, you always remain in our prayers as well. Together we're fighting to make sure that no other American family ever suffers the loss that you have suffered because of Washington's refusal to secure our borders and our communities. It is my honor to be at an event that will feature so many of our wonderful allies in Congress, including Senator Tom Cotton, House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, Representatives Andy Biggs, Buddy Carter, and Steve King. I'm also proud to be here with many of those who have stood watch and truly deserve the titles brave and courageous. Those including Tim Foley of the Arizona border, Recon, Sheriff Mark Lamb, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Oh, somebody has a phone call. That's all right. But most of all, on behalf of President Trump and our administration, it's my honor, really, to stand by our angel family, literally stand with you today. President Trump will always stand by you and will never, ever forget you and the attention that you are trying to bring to these issues. Each and every one of you has incredible strength, and I truly admire that, and an unwavering devotion to remember your loved ones and tell the world what happened to them. You have faced pain and heartache of being permanently separated from your loved ones. But you didn't let that pain defeat you. You honor their memories every time you courageously tell your stories, and you will not be silenced, and we will make sure you're not silenced. The crimes committed against them are stories many in the media refuse to hear. Maybe they'll listen today, they're here. And many of the left-wing politicians otherwise so happy to preen in front of the cameras, but refuse to give you the same dignity. You will never be silenced, and your loved ones will never be forgotten. Here's the truth. Open borders lead to massive crime, and massive crime that is totally avoidable. So this administration continues to try to abolish ISIS, and now we have this new movement to try to abolish ICE. Think of how backward and ridiculous and outrageous and un-American that truly is. Over the last year, the interior of our country has witnessed our brave men and women of ICE arrest over 127,000 criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of 80,000 DUIs, 12,000 sex crimes, and 1,800 homicides. Open borders also allow poison to come into our country. Around 93% of the heroin consumed in this country is grown in Mexico and smuggled across our southern border. This heroin is fueling a crisis of addiction that is killing our people and destroying our communities. The estimated cost of this death and destruction is over $200 billion each year. A wall built across our southern border will pay for itself many times over just by stopping a fraction of the illegal drug trade that is killing tens of thousands of Americans each year. Advocates of open borders know that these numbers just don't add up, especially as the crime and drugs start to seep into our more privileged communities, many of which they represent. Only 10 miles from where we stand right now, a place I used to live for many years, Fairfax County, Virginia, by some accounts the third wealthiest county in our country. Gangs like MS-13 are growing and exploiting unaccompanied immigrant minors at such a clip that the Fairfax County Chief of Police said the, quote, gang issue is out of control. Homicides are up, assaults are up, drug use is up. Victims the age of high school students are being stabbed, mutilated, and buried in shallow graves next to middle school. All of these crimes are 100% preventable and would happen less if the politicians behind me would do their jobs and bring safety and security to this nation. The American people, all of you, your loved ones, now gone, are entitled to safe schools, safe streets, safe communities. Every American mother deserves to send her child off to school knowing that that child will come home the same day safely. Every American mom and dad deserves to have their kids drive on roads that are free from drunk drivers, to walk in their own neighborhoods without fear. We now have a president, finally, that shares your priorities, to whom you are not invisible, and to whom you matter deeply. Senator Dianne Feinstein of California recently authored open border legislation that would encourage child trafficking and effectively prevent us from arresting illegal aliens caught within 100 miles of the border. It seems that every single person that shares her political affiliation in the Senate also shares her support of that bill. Think about that. People need to hear that. People running for office this year, for governor, to lead, to be the chief executive of their respective states, are for the following. The person running for governor of California, the Democratic candidate running for governor of California, wants to give universal taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens in that state. In Maryland, the Democratic candidate for governor wants to give free college tuition to to illegal aliens. And in Florida, the Democratic candidate for governor wants to abolish ICE enforcement altogether. People need to know this. If they're proud of those platforms, then we ought to fill up the time in the media with it. All of these radical policies have one thing in common. They will encourage greater illegal immigration, further undermine our nation's sovereignty, and expose us to vulnerabilities within our communities. In many places, elected officials won't even act against known criminals once they learn they are illegal aliens. That's just an incredible statistic. Last year alone, sanctuary jurisdictions across this country released nearly 8,000 criminal aliens back into our communities. You have your personal stories to tell, but I want to tell one that doesn't get any coverage. Probably won't today either. Back in 2014, one of the illegal aliens released by Philadelphia, the city closest to my place of birth, Camden, New Jersey, was Juan Ramon Vasquez. He had previously been deported in 2009. 5 years later, he was arrested in Philadelphia, but the city refused to turn him over to ICE, and instead they released him back into the communities. What happened next? He raped a child. Where is that child's sanctuary? Where are her rights? Where is her protection? Who in law enforcement, federally or locally, was looking out for her? Later, when a court ruled Philadelphia could remain a sanctuary city, the Democratic mayor there, Jim Kenney, did some goofy dance you've all seen on video. And he literally danced for joy, bragging about it. That man dances on the shattered lives of Philadelphians and American children, and on the graves of your loved ones. Has he agreed to meet with you? Are you invisible to him? Is your grief not real? The Trump administration believes American cities should be sanctuaries for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens. Any elected official who puts the interests of criminal aliens above American citizens should be held to account. You want to talk about being unfit to hold office? There's an example. I promise every single one of you that President Trump will always stand with our angel families and defend your honor and the honor of your loved ones. He said on the campaign trail, he's met with you since he was president several times. We're in close contact with you. He made history, really, by being the first presidential candidate, and indeed president, to recognize angel families and ICE heroes in a State of the Union address and welcoming you there as well. wanted the whole world indeed to hear. It didn't get a lot of applause from one side of the aisle, but that doesn't matter. We're not here for applause. We're here to do the right thing. Our president created the Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement Office, or VOICE, to make sure victims of illegal immigrant crime are heard. You are the voice, and that is the voice. As we stand here today next to the Capitol building, we call on Congress to defend the American people and support this administration's immigration priorities. We must stop sanctuary cities. We must end catching and releasing into the interior. We must pass Kate's Law. And we must build the wall and secure our border once and for all. Thank you again to every single Angel family here and those who choose not to be here for your courage and to share your stories and tell the people the truth. Together, we will keep on fighting until America is safe once again. Thank you for your courage. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.